Hey y'all, hey y'all, hey y'all, hey y'all, hey y'all, hey y'all, hey y'all. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back to Narrow Forward.
Oh shit! What?
No way! He did it!
Oh shit!
Welcome to the first episode of the Never Bored with MMA podcast. Guys, we have an exciting episode to talk about. Hopefully, you guys get to see our thoughts for this week's episode before the big events for UFC 284. But Jason, bro, thank you for being my co-host for our official first episode. Feels like you're in a lot of our content recently, man. I don't know, man. It looks like you're trying to be a content creator or what, bro?
I mean, low key. I mean, I don't know, bro. I'm liking all the different content, so why not? You know.
For sure, bro, for sure. But Jason, bro, as I said before, this is an MMA podcast, so let's talk about some of the biggest news in MMA. I believe the only way to kind of get this really going is, talk about Conor McGregor, bro, the boogeyman, the bane, but also the hype for the sport. Guys, if you didn't know, Conor McGregor and Michael Chandler have been confirmed to be the Ultimate Fighter coaches. So, Jason, bro, give me your thoughts on that, bro. I mean, I saw the last Ultimate Fighter and I enjoyed it, but a lot of people didn't like it as much, or rather they kind of compared it to like the older seasons of the Ultimate Fighter. But for me, I enjoyed it relatively. I get it, Juliana and Amanda, they had that rivalry, but honestly, what carried the Ultimate Fighter was Kamaru Usman's brother, I believe, was one of the contestants, and then some of the fights were really good and they were enjoyable. But obviously, though, this is what's gonna bring back. If there was a question of viewership before, I couldn't think of a better coach, but the return of Conor McGregor once again to the Ultimate Fighter. So, Jason, bro, give me your thoughts on this matchup, and are you excited about watching the Ultimate Fighter now?
I'm gonna be honest, man. So I did watch the last Ultimate Fighter, when it was Julian Pena and Nunes, and I was like, okay, it's pretty good. I liked it, but I felt like sometimes it was missing that, because this is kind of like a reality show, right?
Yeah.
Let's be honest here. Like, it is a fight. It's about fighting.
Right.
It's supposed to be a little bit of a reality show,
Right.
And when I heard the news about McGregor coming back to do the Ultimate Fighter, let's not forget he's done this before.
Right.
And the amount of clips we've seen from that Ultimate Fighter, all I could look forward to is this new one.
Right.
When we talk about like fighting and reality combined, and we have someone that is one of the biggest pop names in the UFC as McGregor, and then we have someone that just joined the UFC and also, I mean, if I'm being honest, I didn't expect them to pick Chandler because I also heard a lot of news about it being McGregor versus Tony Ferguson.
I was so excited for that because you already know Tony Ferguson would just come up in there, start beating the shit out of his own teammates and being like, "This is how we do it, bro. Oh shit, my team's gonna be better." And you're like, Tony, you probably killed most of your team before they can even fight a match at this point, bro. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. And then also on top of that, I mean, I like the Chandler idea. But if it was Ferguson, bro, I was ready to hear the line that he always calls McGregor, McNuggets.
McNuggets.
Yeah, I was.
Dude, that'd have been so good, bro.
But hey, either way, I'm still happy because at the end of the day, McGregor's coming back.
Yeah.
We haven't seen him for a long time, and honestly, this should be really interesting. One thing that I'm really looking forward to is to see what kind of McGregor we're going to get. Are we going to get the one that's always talking?
Yeah.
The one that's always talking shit and loud mouthing, or is he going to be the super nice guy McGregor that we saw in the Poirier 2 fight? So, or the lead up at least. So I'm really looking forward to it. If I'm being honest, this is probably one of the ones where I'm going to be watching it every week as it comes out.
Bro, we might just be doing it. We might include it in the pod, just a live reaction on that shit.
A little reaction. I mean, honestly, that might be a good idea because, dude, this could be really interesting.
It'd just be crazy. Just because, honestly, look, you have someone like Conor McGregor who's going to bring plenty of eyes to Ultimate Fighter regardless. And I'm going to be honest, as much as I love Michael Chandler, the marquee for this fight is going to be Conor McGregor bringing it, because I'm going to be honest, as much as I love Michael Chandler, it's just going to be that motivational Jesus Christ homie coming through and being like, all right, guys, let's do our best. It's all that matters. Just he won't be like, let's beat the fucking shit out of the McGregor team. He's going to be like, just do your best. It's going to be okay. It's like, okay, he's going to be a fantastic coach. Don't get me wrong. But honestly, guys, we know this too, bro. Like, Michael Chandler's going to be that motivational, teacher for middle school kind of vibe. You know what I mean? This is going to be, bro. And I there's nothing wrong with that. Because what I can tell you though for a fact is that Conor McGregor is definitely gonna bring. I hope he's gonna bring evil Conor McGregor. You know, because he has to. There's only honestly just the mind games he can bring into the other fighters as well as just Michael Chandler alone. Because remember, guys, at the end of the day, these guys are gonna be fighting each other at the end of this. Yeah. So if Conor McGregor can keep his training consistent, develop his fighters, bring the hype in the Ultimate Fighter, do the talk shit, the crazy pranks, all the wild shit that comes with all that shit, right? And then slowly chip at Michael Chandler's psyche, then that's gonna pay off dividends in the fight. Mm-hmm. Not just the fight at the end, but during the whole season as well, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only thing I'm a little nervous about is that we haven't really heard much from McGregor. Like, I feel like he hasn't really said anything about like the show or anything, right? I don't know. Have you seen anything?
I just know that what they've determined is that I believe the rumor, but basically confirmed true, it's going to be, I guess, vets versus rookies. I'm not sure if it's going to be there's some vets and some rookies on each side, or it's going to be one Chandler's going to have the vets and Conor's going to have the rookies, or vice versa. I don't know how that's going to be, but the recurring theme is that we're bringing some people that were kicked off the Ultimate Fighter or lost in the Ultimate Fighter or got taken out of the UFC roster, and they get to come back. So,
very chance.
I mean, hey, that would be crazy to see. I mean, I don't know if this ties in with this, but I know Kevin Lee said he re-signed with the UFC, so maybe they include him in the Ultimate Fighter as well, part of that. Again, I don't know if it's to fight for usually Ultimate Fighter is to get a UFC contract, like Dana White's Ken series. So I don't know if that's part of it, but if not, maybe bringing fighters that had brought that, that can talk shit, maybe not as good, but bring them back into the limelight or whatever, then why not, bro? Why not bring that into the Ultimate Fighter as well? But I'm not sure Kevin Lee's going to be on it, but I'm just saying, I saw that and I thought that wasn't just a coincidence, in my opinion. But hey, we'll see. But
yeah, I want to touch upon something that you said. I really hope, like you said, I really hope McGregor talks shit, man.
He has to, bro.
That's what brings the hype. And since this whole thing was released, TikTok has been going crazy with the old clips from when McGregor and Uriah Faber were on it.
Dude, that was so good, bro. So good, bro.
Like all the shit talking, all the the funny butt chin chokes, everything that we saw on that season of Ultimate Fighter. I really hope we get like a glimpse of that at least, because that one was really good.
Because they were like frenemies with each other. Because sometimes they have to match it, and I hope they have that similar, but if not more dynamic with each other. Because because as soon as Chandler thinks, oh, I kind of respect Conor McGregor, he's gonna be a great guy, and then all of a sudden, boom, Conor McGregor says the most foul shit about his family or whatever. Exactly. I can't wait to hear some shit about that, bro. Like, exactly. I don't know, because Conor McGregor is out here a billionaire, billionaire on trend kind of guy now. You know what I mean? Like, he's out here selling his his whiskey like that, bro. He just announced like a whole thing of a new apple cider thing, Steve Jobs promo. So I'm like, again, then we bring back to the question is, by the time this Ultimate Fighter, this whole season said and done, right, guys? Right. Once this is said and done, again, one, are they going to be fighting at lightweight or welterweight? That's one, because I know Chandler says let's go welterweight, but again, if Conor McGregor wants to get a belt at any weight class, right, it probably should be a lightweight if we're talking about Chandler because of the ranking. Because why would a Michael Chandler win a welterweight transition to a title fight? Again, the UFC has done crazy mental gymnastics before. It's not saying it's impossible, but the justification, does it feel right for the division? No. So it would make sense if Conor wants to fight, I don't know if he wants to get that Islam or Volk fight, whoever wins for this weekend, right? But will he want to fight the winner of that if he beats Chandler? Like, again, I don't know. I don't know, bro. I don't know, but that's another thing.
That's honestly a possibility. And let's not forget, this is McGregor. So like, if we're being honest, he has special privileges. We got to be honest.
Yeah.
Honestly, even if it's a welterweight fight, I could easily see this being like I beat I don't know what ranking Michael Chandler. Is he like number 5? I think he's number 7.
He's number 7. So honestly, Conor McGregor's, luck, he could probably squeeze his way up to definitely a number 1 contender, or a title fight. At least a number 1 contender. At least a number 1 contender fight. Will he win though? That's his other question. Again, we already talked about like the problem is he'd be fighting someone, either Dustin Poirier again, Justin, or Charles Oliveira, and even if Beneil, beats Charles. Like, do you want that fight if you're Conor? No, because Beneil
No.
is tougher. He can take a hit and he can do the wrestling. So again, as fun as it is to kind of explore those options, like bro, honestly, if I were Michael Chandler, I would push this for welterweight because one, you don't want to lose your spot in the rankings at lightweight because again, all he needs to do is be like an alternate for one of these fights that go south, and boom, he gets his position back if he depending on the matchup. And then for Conor McGregor, like, dude, it's such again for both these guys, the weight cut, especially coming from a Conor McGregor that's recovering from a broken leg. Again, let's not even talk about the steroid stuff, right? Let's not even talk about that, right? Let's okay, let's put the asterisk there. A clean Conor McGregor. It's already hard enough to cut to 155 as it is.
Right.
Plus, again, let's put in the fact that he's recovering enhancements, right? The recovery enhancements there. Do you want to really take all that work you put in recovery just to cut down the weight again? Like I don't think so. I would if I were McGregor too, like a fresh coat of paint at 170, like he beat Donald Cerrone at 170. You beat a smaller opponent like Chandler at 170. That's like easy pickings because that's a much harder fight at lightweight than it is at welterweight. I tell you that.
Right. I mean, I'm wondering though, if he's like on like steroids, right? Has he been like taking? Is he a part of the USADA yet? Because I've also heard
He still needs to get that 60-day USADA thing order. So even if they fight, I'm pretty sure like the Ultimate Fighter starts in like March. So even then, like the season doesn't even last. The last season didn't last that long. Like every week was a fight, and so honestly, like he would need to finish the season and probably add. Realistically, I think maybe like let's say they film it next month. They air it they air it as it goes. Even so, he would still need. Let's assume he's not even in the pool yet, right? He needs I believe 2 or 3 tests in the 6-month period. Yeah, bro, he ain't fighting until the end of the year, basically, towards the end of the year. So I don't know, unless they do an exception, unless they were like, hey, it's an unranked fight at welterweight, let's hush USADA. I don't know. Like, that doesn't make any sense. I mean, they wouldn't be ranked in the first place, given if it's at welterweight. But if it's at lightweight, he ain't get. If he's trying to test for rankings, no, there's no way they can put him in right after the Ultimate Fighter. Like, at least with Juliana's thing, right? Like, boom, like the season ended, and then they settled the finale on the number card. Same thing for this one, right? It's coaches, and then whoever wins it, probably the beginning at the end of the prelims is probably gonna have whoever wins that fight for each of their camp, or assuming one camp, whatever, you know what I mean? Like the end of the Ultimate Fighter takes place on a number card. So I don't know. There's no way. You don't want to make those new fighters wait. Plus, chances are even. You don't want to make those new fighters wait because again, they have to train for each other. Which again, the most you're gonna give them is 6-7 weeks. It's the Ultimate Fighter. Like they got to get used to the UFC urgency behind it. I don't know. It doesn't seem realistic for him to fight. I'm glad that they announced it, but I know that fight's probably, unless they have some asterisks or rules they moved around, or someone else is giving Conor McGregor his pee. Like I don't know how he's going to, that. I don't know how he's gonna get that fight on time. But again, for all I know, they could announce it. It could be for April or May, and they'd be like, yeah, we just someone else peed for him. Like that's the only way I can. Again, we're joking about it.
He passed.
As long as he passes, right? Somehow bends time for making 3 months, 6 months the same equivalency. I don't know how he does it, but if there's a will and there's money involved, the UFC will find a way. So, because just think about it. That card, just that fight alone, like obviously, it'd be way more of a better fight if it was at lightweight because of the rankings implications. And if there's more reward for Conor McGregor to win that fight at lightweight than welterweight. Because honestly, if he loses the Michael Chandler welterweight, just retire at that point, bro. Like it's over. You just retire. Like you're having like almost 3 to. Okay, the last time you won was Donald Cerrone, right?
Yeah, and that was like 2018.
That was like, bruh, like that was before we even started covering this shit. Like that's crazy, in terms of timing, because like the last couple of years of the UFC have been insane. So like in this year's been insane too. So I don't know, man. What are your thoughts?
I don't. Yeah, if I'm being honest, if he loses against Chandler, I really don't think there's any point in coming back because realistically, now you're just going to be a stepping stone for other fighters to come up.
Yep.
And you should not. You're one of the biggest names in the sports. You should just be done there. Like you don't want to keep fighting like up and coming fighters that are like hungry, and then just not degrade your name, but basically degrade your name at that point.
Right.
Because like you said, he hasn't won since 2018. So it's like, if you lose at welterweight where you fought before, but Michael Chandler is not. So I'm not saying that's an advantage or anything, but
Mm-hmm.
still, you always talk about how you fought in multiple weight divisions.
Right.
Like you should be able to, if you don't win this, then there's no reason for you to come back. Right? If
I,
I'm being honest.
I agree, bro. I mean, I don't want to disrespect the legacy of Conor McGregor, but it's like,
Right.
what are we doing at this point? I don't know, guys. Let us know in the comments. Like, if you because again, like we said before, do you think the fight's better at lightweight or welterweight? In the comments, let us know. Also,
Yeah.
does it mean more at lightweight or as welterweight? Because honestly, the win means more at lightweight. Because boom, that's a rankings place. This dude's now back in there. Yeah, he's just if he's not in the rankings before, he would already bring him back up to number 5. Boom, literally, he doesn't even have to fight Dustin again. You could find someone like Justin, which would be in a crazy fight, great styles matchup, and then also Charles Oliveira fight. Obviously, Charles deserves that money fight just because of his title offenses he's had. So why not give him the freebie at that point? And then if you're Conor McGregor, if you lose at lightweight, at least you lost attempting to become a champ again. Versus, all right, bro, like I think welterweight's the move. Loses to the shortest possible dude at welterweight.
Right.
Yeah, and I mean, no disrespect to Michael Chandler, but some days he looks honestly, he's just a way more built up Volkanovski in terms of what I see by size and by body type or whatever, right? Like if you look at it,
Right.
in my opinion, if I'm wrong, guys, you guys will let us know for sure. But
Yes,
so
let us know.
yeah. So whether it's on TikTok or YouTube, guys.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I don't know, man. Like that for me is like it's a weird thing, but in terms of the Ultimate Fighter for the short term, yes, that's a very good play. It brings relevancy back to that show. And again, make that honestly, if this works and Conor even doesn't fight Chandler for some reason because you saw the thing, like you now have a common theme, like okay, you have cool retired fighters become coaches again, bro. Why not bring back Daniel Cormier, Chael Sonnen, I don't know, bro. Like
actually, yeah.
Yeah, they don't even have to fight at the end of it. They can just be better coaches. Plus,
yeah.
And if you think about it, bro, like that probably is better for the Ultimate Fighter as a whole. Because if you're think about it. I felt like the Juliana's performance got impacted because she was busy working Ultimate Fighter, using them as training partners, and then also fighting at the end of it as well. I just think it's better off like okay, like just had the because I don't remember if Uriah and Conor fought at the end of their thing. Did they?
They actually didn't, but I think they were supposed to. Or something.
Yeah, I don't.
Fight.
So it's possible they don't fight anyway. So again, like you can see the blueprint where it's like retire fighters. Like you can bring back Forrest Griffin again. Like like you can bring him back. He's the first winner. Let him see if you can bring up future winners. You have these existing fighters. Even people from Dana White's Contender Series, and any of these people that are like have been in the game before, close to retiring, bro, bring back fucking Glover Teixeira. That would be an amazing thing for Brazil, bro. Like, dude, that would be crazy, bro. Like, that would be an insane card, bro. Like, again, like as long as like Ultimate Fighter Brazil, they did it before. Again, you want to have like Jose Aldo versus Glover Teixeira, even though they're obviously not going to fight each other, but you have two big Brazilian superstars, two different ways of fighting. Let's see how their skills and experience match up when they coach other Brazilian fighters. I mean, again, like it's more fun it's better if there's if you have an active roster as coaches, but obviously. If not, you have always people that need work anyway. Glover's retired. He's busy training Alex Pereira anyway. Why not just have him be the Ultimate Fighter as well, bro? Like, I don't understand that. But
no, I think...
Yeah, please go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I think one point that you made I think is important is, it would be better if it was retired people because then you don't have to like these coaches that are fighting or not fighting now, but like you said, the Juliana Pena situation, when it's like fighters that are on active rosters and they're still fighting, or if it's like a championship fighter that's gonna fight.
Right.
This is another thing they have to worry about. So it's not easy for them to have to worry about training other people, making a TV show, and then also training for a championship fight.
Right.
So, like you said, the idea of maybe bringing in like retired fighters, like you said, Daniel Cormier. You know what? I think what I would want to see one day, just a side topic. John Jones is coming back.
Oh,
he might be retiring soon, right?
Yeah.
What if we saw John Jones versus Daniel Cormier, the Ultimate Fighter? They're not going to fight at the end, but
they can talk hella shit. And honestly, they talk enough shit. I can see Daniel Cormier like, fuck it, I can beat this dude again. Sorry. Oh, that'd be crazy. It wouldn't work because obviously Don Jones beat the shit out of him twice. But could you just imagine? That'd be crazy.
But just the Ultimate Fighter, right? Like you said, the veteran idea.
Yeah. And that would work, especially if John Jones retire. That's how you keep these fighters relevant. You keep the sport cycling, and then you have internal promotion because you have the fight. One, this satisfies the MMA fans because okay, OG MMA fans are like, oh, these are the fighters I like to see back in their capacity.
Right.
What advice they can give, and then like it already plays to skills. Like Daniel Cormier already coaches anyway. Like he's still at
Right.
I think yeah.
Exactly.
So like why?
AKA.
This is just something natural, gives more fighters money in their purse. And this is just another idea. Fuck it, this is our first podcast. Let's go into it, right? This fighter pay issue, right? Why don't we just have these fighters go in and cycle again? If you feel like some of these fighters, like John Jones or them, like are not happy with some of their pay and they're out of the game, boom, recycle them back into these roles where they can be coaches or something like that. In terms for this promotional for the Ultimate Fighter, because who wouldn't want to be like, yo, I got coached by John Jones this season, the Ultimate Fighter, and I fucking won. Not even just won, but just got fucking coached by him. Like, I just feel like there's an opportunity there in that sense. But I mean, hey, man, but what's great about it is that because you have guys like Conor McGregor that come into the Ultimate Fighter once again, rehyping it up. This again, like this only is a net positive. However, the only negative downside is how is this fight gonna go if you saw the pool and all that's still an issue. But I don't know, man. But I don't know, man. I mean, that's all I got to say about that. Do you have any more thoughts on this topic, Jason?
Nah, man. Just excited to see, this happen. Hopefully everything goes the way it should, and
Yeah.
we'll hopefully see the show and also see them fight at the end of the year. So,
Yes.
yeah, man.
And I hope it's at lightweight. But
Yes.
speaking of lightweight, guys, we have a fat ass card this weekend. UFC 284. We have co-main and the main event. Jason, let's drive into the co-main because honestly, the two divisions are being stacked up by just this one fight, bro. Islam versus Volkanovski has created a vacancy in the featherweight division, and I want to start with the co-main because we can talk about the main event all day, right? But the co-main needs its love too because Yair Rodriguez versus Josh Emmett. It's probably going to be. It's going to be a sleeper fight, even though it's the co-main. Honestly, it's going to be a crazy fight because both their styles are amazing. Both of these fighters are amazing. Give me your thoughts on this breakdown, guys, because, guys, for future reference, our predictions and everything in our fight breakdown is going to be probably mostly in these podcast forms in the future because that way the later videos are more tight, but focus on the good stuff that you guys like. But yeah, Jason, give me your thoughts, bro. Give me this whole matchup at featherweight's insane, so give me your thoughts, bro.
Dude, yeah, we saw Yair come back. Yair was on a layover for a little bit. He came back. He fought Max Holloway. Crazy fight.
Yeah, dude.
I think that's probably the first time that I actually saw Yair fight because before that I wasn't the last time he fought before that was 2019. So that was me I wasn't really watching the UFC that much.
Yeah.
And the first time that I ever saw Yair fight was against Max Holloway, and that was a bloodfest.
Crazy, bro.
Exactly, and watching that, I was like, man, I cannot wait to see this guy fight again. And after that, he fought. I think he fought. What was that guy's name after that? Actually fought Brian Ortega.
Yeah.
And he beat him.
Yeah,
round
dude.
One. So that was a round one TKO.
Yeah, bro.
Which is crazy to me. How can you do that to Brian Ortega? Which is we've seen him fight against Alexander Volkanovski. Someone that has done a lot. He's done a lot of submissions, and he was able to take him out in the first round.
Right.
And then on the other hand, we have someone like Josh Emmett, who has been just coming up slowly. He wasn't someone that was popping off or anything.
Yeah.
He was just slowly coming up the rankings, and now we get to see a interim championship belt fight. And honestly, bro, I don't know what's gonna happen with this fight because we know it's gonna be on the feet.
Yeah.
They both have their own individual skills.
Yeah.
But honestly, I don't know how this fight is going to go and what it's going to look like even. Because if I'm being honest, there's two ways it could go. It could either go where it's like a sleep fest where they both are nervous to go at each other. Or it could be just a slugfest.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, bro.
I'm going to be honest, Jason. I'm going to call it where it is. It's not going to be a sleeper because both these guys bring fucking pace, bro. Both these guys bring fucking pace.
That is true, but we've seen, there's been plenty of times where it could always happen, right? It's a fight, and sometimes the nerves get to you, and you're like, oh man, I don't want to. Let's not forget, Josh Emmett is also a knockout artist. He has hands.
You're right.
That's just me. Like I said, there's two sides. I'm pretty sure 90. If I'm putting it on a percentage, I'd probably put it 85%. It's gonna be a slugfest.
Yeah.
But there's still that that little chance of it being a a low-key sleeper if they, if they're a little nervous. But
I can see that point, Jason. But let me bring up some of the things I see for this fight, right? So,
all
you
right,
look at Yair Rodriguez, bro. You look at how he fights. Everyone thinks about that knockout of Korean Zombie where he just comes out of nowhere. To this day, I think Yair didn't expect for that one to happen. I think it was just more like a thing, but whatever. It worked out, right? But then you see how he fights, bro. Like,
right,
this dude's like a tornado of a fighter. This dude can. It's not just like there's a lot of fighters that go to these big camps and they have a system they develop, right? And they'll stick to the system and then find their ways in between. You can't read this guy Yair Rodriguez. He can wrestle, he can clinch, and he's the most versatile striker I think at featherweight. Aside from Volk and Holloway, I think he's the most versatile striker in that division. Just because he's not afraid to do what's needed to throw those crazy strikes. And I compare it to Josh Emmett, who built his striking game on the threat of the wrestling, right? He's very good at chain wrestling and taking you down, right? But that's where he's able to set up those like huge overhand strikes where he just puts you to sleep. Because the moment you think about wrestling, cutting angles, boom, that overhand comes out of nowhere and puts you to sleep, starches people, right? That's where the risk, I think, where Yair has to come over. Because usually you see him do a lot of movement, a lot of good footwork, keeping the fight active. And I think that's why, in my opinion, I think Yair has the advantage. And I'm going to throw my prediction right. I think Yair Rodriguez is going to win this fight, either by decision or late round TKO, because of how dynamic the fighter is. You need Josh Emmett can catch you in a mistake where you're too worried about his wrestling. Yair, I don't think he's worried about his wrestling that much. And even if he gets caught down, I've seen Yair come back up super easily. These guys at featherweight, even though there's lower weight, these guys still have a lot of strength to them and pace to them. So their cardio is going to be there. Plus, Yair Rodriguez, again, that pace and how dynamic he is as a fighter. Dude, I've seen him throw some flip kick, roll kicks, or whatever. Like, this man looks like he's like... Yeah, it looks like he's doing ninjutsu in the ring, bro. That's what he does. It's like, I feel like it feels like kind of watching like Rock Lee go in there when I see Yair go in there, because he's so crazy with some of the stuff he's going to throw. And that question mark of a fighter is something that I think that's gonna confuse a guy like Josh Emmett, because not to say that he isn't a dynamic of a fighter, but you can tell like again, because of the speed of featherweight, it's kind of hard to tell sometimes, but they have systems and plans they have in place to get to the fire where they need to go, right? For Josh, it's to set up those overhands, right? But then, like, when you saw, like, some of his other fights, right? What was it? If I remember correctly, when he fought Calvin Kattar, he got that decision, and I think that he's going to need stuff like that to get a guy like Yair, because guys like Calvin Kattar, these high-level strikers and dynamic strikers, they have the movement needed to avoid the wrestling and that chain wrestling and the threat of that, and therefore they're able to avoid those big overhand strikes that Josh Emmett throws, or rather they're able to handle that power well as you go up the weight class as well in terms of the skill of the weight class. Yair has proven that he's in that top 5 and still dangerous, and every time he fights, bro, like, it's a
it is a slugfest.
It's a clinic, and I think in terms of pure speed, I think Yair is faster as well, meaning I think he could get the finish in there as well, but also do the decision that's needed. Even though Emmet has the build, he's built tough, bro. He's huge. He's fucking huge for the weight class, in my opinion. And hopefully he keeps that weight for that cardio, because again, I don't know how long it takes to move that muscle up featherweight, but hopefully when he rehydrates, he looks good and he keeps that pace. But I think because Yair doesn't have to cut as much weight, I think he's able to keep that pacing more. And if he's able to keep the pacing, the combos, to where, like, he doesn't give Emmet the opportunity to, even if he wrestles him, get in those clinches and survive, get that confidence up, but also get out of the way of those overhands and counter. I think there's more room for Yair to win than there is for Emmet. Because a guy like Yair, you have to catch him, and just how smart and dynamic Yair is, I don't think that's possible. So that's why I'm going to throw it out there for my boy Yair.
All right. I mean, if I'm being honest, I'm also kind of on the same boat as you. Because let's be honest, I was also just looking at like Yair's past fights.
Yeah.
And literally the only one that was even, let's just talk about the last 2 fights, right?
Mm-hmm.
He fought against Max Holloway.
Yeah.
That was a slugfest of a fight.
Right.
And he showed all kinds of tips and tricks.
Yeah.
In the striking, right? That's just a weird way to say it, but literally he showed so much. And then in the Brian Ortega fight, he was able to TKO him in the first round.
Right.
And Josh Emmett, like you said, he is a very, very good fighter, and it's going to be hard to catch him too.
No.
But I just think Yair has just the more diverse striking.
Right.
like you mentioned, the Korean Zombie like knock, bro. That was honestly, I think that fight it was a toss up fight. It was in the
Yeah.
last round.
Yeah.
Out of nowhere, man throws a freaking like whatever the like. How do you even describe what that is? Like,
It's like
how do you even
it's like a
that, right?
he throws an elbow, but like across
It's
his
like
back.
reverse. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm like, bro, how do you like even think of that while you're in a fight to even
Yeah.
do something crazy like that and then
Yeah.
knock him out, right?
Yeah.
So, like you said, he has a diverse striking. His movement is amazing. He's very quick on his feet, and honestly, I think this fight, as I'm going into my prediction, I really think it's going to be uh like a third or fourth round TKO.
Okay,
If I'm being
I
honest,
got you.
and
I do want to note though before you keep going that when Yair won against Ortega, it was considered a TKO KO, but it was sort of like a freak submission where it was like I think Ortega's arm or shoulder got dislocated or something in
okay,
place, which is why the fight got stuck. But this was after I think some of that weird judging or the controversial decision that happened with the Aldo fight. I'm sorry, the not the Aljo fight. Remember when?
Aljo, okay,
Yeah, because of the injury, then he gets the belt. They kind of changed the
right,
rules
right,
a little
right.
bit after, or they I don't know if they expressly said it, but because of that, because of how the fight went up until that injury happened, they kind of scored it
Right.
off that round, and then Yair won the round, I believe, which is why the
Okay.
fight ended where it did. But it did end in injury, but it still doesn't change the points you said, Jason. Like it's still the fact that he put Ortega in a position where limbs are being broken or whatever or something like that, like or injury
Right.
happens. Like it wasn't like an eye poke where it's like, oh, what the fuck, like. This was
Yeah,
during a
yeah.
submission attempt where it happened. So freak injury,
Right.
but it happened during a sub. Yair was winning up wasn't that point. It's yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, you're right. I mean, it's might not have been like the craziest like anything, but
Yeah.
at the same time, it's still a win's a win, right? So honestly, like
Oh,
I
win is
think
a
if
win. A win is a win,
yeah,
boys. A win is a win.
win is a win, right? And if I'm being honest, like I think not to say that Josh Emmett can't do this, but if Josh Emmett's gonna win this, I think it's gonna be a decision win.
hmm
So if Yair doesn't, if he doesn't finish him in the first 1 through 4 or even the fifth round, and if Josh Emmett's able to keep up with the pace of Yair
Yeah.
and also able to, get a lot of strikes in, I think Josh Emmett could win this if it goes to decision. But if not, if it's like a TKO or like a submission, I think it's going to go to Yair. And my prediction I already said is going to be like a third or fourth TKO by Yair. So
Okay,
that's
man.
what I think. That's
That's
what I
it.
think.
I love your thoughts, Jason, bro. Guys, listen in the comments below. Do you hear our prediction? Do you think that Yair is going to take the cake, or is Josh Emmett going to get the interim gold? Side note, Josh Emmett straight up said, I think during the weigh-ins of the press conference, that he was like, "Yeah, this is just the number one contender belt." And I'm like, "Damn, son. Okay, I mean, hey, bro, I get it because based on who we're going to talk about next." It's that interim belt don't mean shit compared to whoever wins the belt's gonna fight Alexander Volkanovski next, and there's a chance that when they fight Alexander Volkanovski, he might be a double champ at probably the hardest divisions the UFC's ever experienced. So Jason, let's transition into it, bro. The main event of UFC 284, the big Kahuna, the pound for pound battle. Who's the biggest shark in the UFC pond? Who is the lion? Who is the dude that's gonna be the probably after this fight? Either the pound for pound greatest or potentially a double champ. So, Jason, bro, give me your thoughts on Islam Makhachev versus Alexander Volkanovski. Let's go.
Bro, man, I'm so excited this fight is coming up very soon
Yeah,
because
bro.
I'm super excited to see this fight. Um, let's start with Islam, man. He's been just showing how much power he has,
Mm-hmm.
how dominant of a fighter he is,
Mm-hmm.
and he doesn't have fear. He has no fear when it comes to fighting.
Yeah.
He will come at you all day. He will, even some people might say like, "Oh, he's just a wrestler. He's just a wrestler." Let's be honest. He's a striker too.
He's got
He
he
was a,
yeah, he put down Charles Oliveira. Yeah.
he went put down Charles Oliver and jumped right on him and submitted him
Yeah.
so quickly. Like in the span of, I think it was out of nowhere. Just like, oh, pop, got him on the ground,
Yeah.
got on top, got submitted him. So, he's one of the probably going to be one of the greatest fighters we'll ever see fight in the lightweight division. I'm not trying to say that because I'm not trying to say like there isn't a lot of great fighters, but like, bro, the way he fights, the way that people talk about him, the way Khabib has talked about him plenty of times,
Yeah.
you know, I he's just such an amazing fighter. He doesn't show I feel like there's not a lot of weakness in his game.
Yep.
But I think this is the fight where we will see if he has weaknesses in his game. Because, Alexander Volkanovski, he is not a tough fight. I mean, he is a tough fight. He is not. Oh,
Hey, why are you talking like you're from Islam's camp, bro? Why are you team Islam already, bro?
Look.
Inshallah, it's not halal. It's so haram right now. Out here giving
Wallah, bro. I've heard too much about Islam, bro. I'm sorry. But, dude, this is where it's gonna be. This is where we will see if Islam has holes in his games, because Alexander is not someone to mess with. We have seen how dominant he is. We have seen him do crazy things in the featherweight division. He's fought Holloway twice. He's fought I mean, those are the only fights I can remember, because that's the last two fights he's had.
Right, it's like three times, bro. Pretty sure they fought 3 times, bro.
Yeah, that's why I don't even know why I said twice. Because I haven't seen a lot of any of his other fights, because he's been fighting him so many times.
I mean, the only time in recent memory was Ortega fight and then Max Holloway again.
I think he fought Korean Zombie.
Yeah, he destroyed the Korean Zombie, destroyed Max Holloway a third time, destroyed basically freaking Ortega. By the end of the fight, even though Volkanovski got purple, Ortega was bloodied. Ortega was red by the end of it. Max Holloway before, and then boom, it's just been. And then he takes. I think he beats Jose Aldo. Dude, the only times he hasn't fought Max Holloway were going to be this year, once last year, and then he fights Max Holloway. 2019, he fights him and wins the decision. People thought it was controversial. Beats Aldo as well that same year. 2020, during COVID, I think their first crazy Apex fights, Volkanovski gets the decision again. A lot of people were like, okay, Max, they thought still won. Beats decisive fashion Ortega. That decision was clear. And then finally proves everyone once again that there was no competition in the first place, that Max Holloway isn't on the same level as him, and then before that beats the shit out of Korean Zombie. Again, I think the Zombie fight happened because Max was injured, so...
Right.
Yeah.
But, dude, he's just been destroying everyone in the top, 5, basically.
Yeah, repeatedly.
Repeatedly. Specifically Holloway, repeatedly.
Yeah.
So, even, that Holloway fight, right? I was expecting a lot more from Holloway, but I think Alexander just showed how much better he really is,
or the rate of improvement he keeps doing.
Right. Or how much better he's getting, I guess, because he hasn't shown any signs of slowing down.
Right.
I think the only in the last 2 to 3 years where we really saw some test for him was probably the first 2 Holloway fights, but the Ortega fight, the submissions.
Yeah.
That's where I am a little nervous when it comes to this fight.
Right.
Because Brian Ortega got him in one of his best submissions, and he was able to get out.
Yeah.
But this is Islam we're talking about, man.
Yeah.
This is a different kind of, fighter here. A different kind of, with the Dagestani wrestling.
Yeah.
Honestly, even just the build up in this fight, the way Islam has been looking, he's kind of laughing him off, kind of oh yeah, in a way, it kind of even Volkanovski said, it seems like he's kind of disrespecting me.
Yeah.
And that's why he was taking it. And so I don't know, Volkanovski, he the way he's looking, this is going to be a crazy fight to watch, and I really see so many things happening in this fight.
Yeah.
But I don't know, bro. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
So, yeah, dude, I agree with a lot of what you said, but I'm gonna go back to that Brian Ortega fight, and I think, if we're going to compare the grappling of Ortega to Islam, I'm not going to disrespect Ortega like that, but if you saw those 2 submissions that Ortega tried to land on Volkanovski, as you see, those are 2 great instances of basic fundamental jiu-jitsu, where I think Islam has a better grasp in those situations than Ortega. There's a thing in jiu-jitsu called position before submission. And when you saw those Ortega submissions that happened, right? Because he did the submission the first time, the guillotine. That was turned purple, right? And then he grabs another submission right after he escapes. Right after Volkanovski escapes, he gets another submission again. Which shows 2 things. That one, even though Volkanovski has survivability, he needed to work on that grappling, because you're going to find a lot of grappling experts and BJJ black belts in this division regardless. And you saw that BJJ black belt instinct that Ortega had, where as soon as he saw the opening for Volkanovski, he took it. But there's where Ortega made the mistake. He capitalized the submission over the position, because if you look closely in those instances, when not the first time Volkanovski escaped, but the first time, I think Volkanovski, an angel must have pried open Ortega's hands for him to get, because he was turning purple, but he still somehow survived. I don't know how. I slipped. He slipped. I don't know if Ortega. Well, I think maybe Volkanovski was fighting the hands, but he was still turning purple, bro. That shit was scary as fuck. I don't know how he got out of that. But the second submission attempt that Ortega had, it looked cleaner because he got it quickly and he got it off of an escape. However, I think that was the case where Ortega made the mistake, was very finish hungry, and didn't secure the position before the submission, because Volkanovski escaped way better the second time. Now, if you look at Islam Makhachev, right? Islam, when you saw the Charles Oliveira fight, even when he is, in the heat of a strike, even when he gets the strike down, right, he puts down Charles Oliveira. Even though when Charles invites him to the ground, essentially, because as soon as Charles gets hit, he's going to go to the ground, boom, trap you in the ground. Islam wasn't afraid to go in the ground, meaning this is his turf already. And when you see him fight against anyone in the ground, and particularly Charles Oliveira fight, he ensures position above everything else. Meaning, one, obviously, you already know Dagestani is the fundamentals of grappling and wrestling, but remembering then those high intense, high level fights is important. Because, man, we saw in the Ortega instance, because I don't know if it's the pressure, I don't know why, but he messed up the position, and therefore he lost the submission. Islam is never going to make that mistake. You're going to see a pig fly before Islam makes a mistake on a submission like that, bro. Right, you're gonna see Islam eat that flying pig before he makes that mistake. You know what I'm saying, bro?
And he's Muslim. So
exactly. Yeah. That's what I'm telling you guys for a fact, that, he gonna not have no feather bacon for Islam. You know what I mean? He ain't gonna make that mistake. Right. So when you see those instances, right, when he gets Charles on the ground, Charles tries to escape, and that's a pretty effective escape he attempts to do. But Islam maintains his position. He thinks about it. He thinks about it. It's ingrained in his psyche and his muscles, the muscle memory, whatever it is. He knows those positions better than anyone else. So when he sees someone moving, he's already thinking about where his leg position is, where his shoulder pressure is, where's his opponent going to be. And when you see him just grappling in training camp, or when he's wrestling these other guys, look at the Bobby Green fight. You look at even the Dan Hooker fight. He ensures the position first, right? Khabib's yelling at him. Boom, ensure the position first, crank it, boom. As soon as he gets the position down, boom, the crank happens, Dan Hooker's out. Same thing with the Drew Dober fight. It's again like with the Charles Oliveira fight. When he got the head and arm choke, Charles Oliveira resisted, but Islam made sure that he provided an opening, kept everything tight, and it's game over. So at the moment it gets to the ground, it's like I don't know if you watch Yu-Gi-Oh, Jason, but there's these cards called the Egyptian God cards. Basically, as soon as you put them on the field, you're pretty much gonna die. The opponent's gonna die, and basically, as soon as you get on the ground, an Egyptian God card of Islam Makhachev is gonna come out and destroy you. It's just if you're on the ground. So the biggest question is, does Alexander Volkanovski, one, can he defend enough takedowns? Which is not impossible, because we've seen in title fights as of recently with Glover Teixeira attempting that on Jamal Hill, right? Jamal Hill's stuffed most of them, right? But the question is, can Alexander Volkanovski stuff those takedowns? And not if, but when he gets taken down, can he get back up? And a lot of fighters, once they get on the ground, Islam have not gone back up. Not gone back up. But Jason, like you said before, if there's a fighter that can bring that challenge to him, I think it's Volkanovski. So I think he's better off attempting to stuff the takedowns, because once he's in the ground with Islam, it's game over. Like, even if he has the cardio to outlast him, once Islam lands that position, the submission comes through. I think once it gets if Volkanovski gets to the ground, Islam will not let him get back up no matter what. Even if he survives the round, just the pressure he brings, that cardio, I think Volkanovski can handle that pressure, but once that pressure starts mounting in those later rounds, for example, that's when those mistakes happen, right? That's where he gets caught in the submission, for sure. That's where, the strikes, even though you're worrying about the level changes, boom, he can get an overhand on you, right? And Islam's saying he's prepping for the knockout, but I don't know, bro. This is where it gets hard, because, we talk about the mammoth that Islam's on the ground and the very little striking he needs. But when he places it right, he may be fundamental with it, but it works. It worked. It's you're worried about whenever you see a punch from Islam coming, you're not worried about where the punch is going to land. You're worried about when his takedown's coming in.
When he's going to come down.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So the threat of the takedown that Islam proceeds alone is there constantly, right? Then I can bring it back to you, Jason. I don't know. What do you thought? Because that's how I level it out. Because, again, Alexander Volkanovski has to keep that so much lateral foot movement to where he can't get touched by Islam. He can't allow that to happen whatsoever, right? And even if he does, can he survive it, right? And it's such a simple thing, but when you have someone that is so certain of victory on just that one aspect of his game, which he can manipulate you into bringing down anyway, because the moment you extend, you overcommit to a strike, or you step out of bounds in your range, or you get to striking range with Islam where he can grapple you, then what do you do?
Exactly. Honestly, dude, yeah, you're right. Because if this, like, for this fight, like you mentioned, Islam is very good with his takedowns and his positions. He doesn't like if he gets you on the ground, he's going to keep you on the ground. It's not going to be easy to get up from any position that he puts you in, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think for this fight, I mean, I'm assuming Volkanovski knows this, but I really think he needs to be able to, keep distance, but also like land and keep come back. Like basically let me see, what's the best way to put this? Like land some strikes and then, keep away from him. Because if you stand try to be in the pocket with him, he's gonna take you down.
Right.
If you have some distance on him, you at least can, have some space to expect the takedown and either change change positions, whatever it may be, right?
Right.
And dude, it's and like you said, if Volkanovski, I'm hoping, I'm not hoping, we know he's probably been training takedown defense, ground positions, like the whole camp. Like, if we're being honest, I'm pretty sure that's what he's been training.
Yeah.
And like you said, Islam is saying that he wants to knockout, but if I'm being honest, I don't think he's been training that or anything like that.
He might be, but is it likely to happen with someone the size of Volkanovski? Probably not, but probably.
I mean, I think he just said that to just build some hype or whatever.
Yeah,
just
right.
It's gonna be a longer fight, because he's gonna try to keep it on the top with with striking. But if I'm being honest, I'm pretty sure he's gonna maybe not in the first round, but I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't take him down in the first round.
I think bread and
butter, right?
Yeah, exactly, bro. I think it's, even if Islam saves those takedowns for later and wants to send a message earlier on, that doesn't even sound like the kind of fight he would bring there anyway, because it's about efficiency and getting in there so you can get the next fight right after anyway, right? Even though we talked about a lot of Islam, right? It's more certain for him to victory than his Volkanovski, but out of all the fights I see Islam having in the division to huff his time with, besides Beneil Dariush, Alexander Volkanovski is the only one I can think, and then Charles Oliveira again, that's better prepared, would be the only ones I think that could take him on anyway. So if we're going to talk about, Alexander Volkanovski still skid, I'm saying he's got the tools to get away from Islam, though. He's got excellent footwork. He's fast. Speed that Volkanovski brings is honestly crazy for featherweight. We saw that in his third fight against Max Holloway. That shit was crazy. He looked like a demon. And Max Holloway wasn't bad looking in there at all, in my opinion. If anything, Alexander Volkanovski's so good, I started questioning Max Holloway was bad. That was how crazy that fight was, bro.
Yeah.
So that's why
he was moving in and out a lot.
Yes.
He was moving in and out in that fight a lot. So he was getting hit but not getting touched.
Yes.
A lot. So in this fight, if he can do similar things to that, where he's getting in and he's touching him but not getting touched, it could be a really interesting fight, and it could be a really good night for Alexander. But this is Islam, this is his turf.
Yes.
So Alexander is technically he's climbing a really high mountain to get this done. Yes. And Islam, on the other hand, he's not climbing that much of a in his mind, he's not climbing as much of a hill to get the pound for pound belt, right?
Right.
Even though there's not an actual belt for that, but that's what he wants.
Right.
And honestly, high props to Alexander for even taking such a crazy fight.
Who wants to fight these guys, bro? Who wants to fight these Dagestani wrestlers?
And he's coming up in weight, fighting someone that is has been super dominant, and
Right.
is also putting up his pound for pound ranking too, on
Right.
top of fighting someone as crazy as
Exactly.
Islam.
But
So
that's what's crazy about it, is that there's more for, there's more incentive for Alex to win than there's to lose, right? I mean, obviously your
yes,
incentive is to win, but the price
right,
for Alex winning is significantly crazier than it is for losing, right? It's like the Izzy
right,
going up to get to fight Jan Blachowicz. Like, he doesn't really lose anything. In fact, he gets an experience from it, which if Alexander Volkanovski loses, let's get those things ready to go. Because, like, hey, man, you had a great experience. Your greatness is trying, whatever. But honestly, bro, like, it's weird, right? Even though we say the doom that Islam brings when it comes to the grappling, the more I think about with Alexander Volkanovski, right? He was able to stick to his game, keep that intense cardio that he brought in. Because if he can survive, has the cardio to get those four. I'm pretty sure Islam's gonna try. If he doesn't land the first takedown on him, he's gonna keep trying again and again. Just because I'm pretty sure it's gonna be a pride thing that's gonna happen, where it's like, I have to bring this guy down no matter what in terms of a takedown. Just because if I'm pretty sure Islam's landed a takedown on every fighter he's ever fought, except the time he got knocked out, which was like way back
yes,
when, right? But
yes.
again, that's where I bring it again. If anyone that can land strikes on Islam, it's definitely going to be
Volkanovski.
Volkanovski. Because if you think about it, he's probably going to have a. He's not cutting as much weight.
He's
Remember,
not.
yeah, and remember again, if we're talking about his history with the rugby league or whatever, right? He has that experience with
And
getting
yeah,
the weight up there. So are we talking about adding on the weight? That's not going to be a problem for him, right? It's not going to be with the Israel Adesanya situation where I think it's going to be like,
a
hey,
struggle.
yeah, the
Yeah,
struggle versus, because Blachowicz is going to capitalize on the weight, right? Versus from
right,
featherweight to lightweight, it's a 10-pound difference of a cut versus from what was it, middleweight to light heavyweight. That's, I
right.
think, yeah, that's a 20-pound difference. If I remember correctly. A
195.
205 is
Yeah,
light
yeah,
heavyweight and
yeah, yeah.
185 is
Yeah.
middleweight. Yeah, it's 20. There's a 10-pound difference. Is the weight cut going to affect Islam in a way that's going to compromise it? Because remember, Alexander Volkanovski, for all intents and purposes, is not going to be cutting that much weight. Meaning for him, he's
Nah,
not going to focusing on dehydration. He's going to in fact be like, I'm just going to watch my calories and eat as good as I can and build the muscle accordingly. Because again, what he's going to need is that strength, which he's built from the regular league before. So it's about reconditioning those muscles and that strength and conditioning again. He's already had the cardio from cutting and fighting at featherweight against fighters that he was already short against to begin with anyway, right, Matt? Because
right,
Brian Ortega and Max Holloway are all taller than him and carry more weight than he does. So cutting to
right.
featherweight isn't as big a deal as his current competition was anyway. Now, is that going to, at lightweight, he doesn't have to cut that much. Meaning that
Doesn't.
that cardio, I expect a bigger cardio boost from Alexander Volkanovski regardless, right?
Right.
And because of that, I think he's going to let out those punches more. His speed's there, bro, because if he's, again, is it going to be like I said before with the last title defense of someone coming up with, like, for Izzy, right? Is it going to be where, like, those takedowns that Islam's going to bring, or Islam or Blachowicz brings, right, going to be so detrimental? Because again, with Izzy, it's the same situation. Both of these guys are, have kickboxing as their
Right.
fundamental striking, and then mixing up those takedowns and stuff in between, right? I don't know, man. I think Volkanovski has more of a shot than people are giving him, but at the same time, because the challenge is that one thing of absolute god tier wrestling and in clinch work and grappling that Islam brings, does that make a difference? I guess the biggest question is, can Alexander Volkanovski hit Islam before Islam does anything meaningful? And will Alexander Volkanovski, if he goes through decision, right? Because that's his only hope. I don't think he gets the knockout, but he could definitely get the decision win. If he's able to get the decision win and outstrike him more than Islam can take him down and keep him on the ground is the question. And I don't know. That's a hard bet.
Wait, who did you say that you doesn't can't get the knockout?
I don't think Islam. Not that Volkanovski doesn't have the power to knock someone out. He wasn't able to do it with Max Holloway. He
Mm,
didn't do it with Ortega. Again, his path to victory is a decision. I don't think him gaining the weight's
right,
going to make a difference, because those dudes at lightweight can carry their weight more, and I think can take a punch more given the competition that they
that's true.
have against. So
That's true.
if Volkanovski can get a speed and cardio advantage boost because of the lack of weight cut he has in comparison, that's his path to victory for decision. So that's what
True.
I
I
believe.
mean, I think there's only one thing, a little difference that I would actually add is not that this is like a big thing, but this is definitely a factor. Is
Hmm.
that I actually think one of the ways Volkanovski could win is actually through knockout or TKO.
Really?
Only because Islam has. I mean, he's the one loss that he has was a
Was a knockout.
TKO, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So it's a possibility. It's
Yeah.
a possibility of happening. And sure, like you said, Volkanovski, he wasn't able to do it to Ortega or what's his name, to Holloway,
Yeah.
but he definitely has the ability to,
Yeah.
because like you said, he look what he did to Korean Zombie, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Even
Got the
though that
doctor
was
to
like
come in and be like, or Herb to be like, "Yo, boy,
like,
the
yeah, it's
zombie
enough.
about to be mincemeat, bro. We gotta save his ass, yo."
Exactly. So it's definitely a possibility. Like,
Yeah,
Islam, he could be too cocky, and he could get caught.
yeah,
But at the same time, Islam. I mean, I'm not expecting that to happen, but I'm saying like it could happen at any
yeah,
point. It could possibility.
yeah.
But like you said, that is not. I mean, that's like a very low chance. I think the most like priority way of him winning would be through decision,
Yeah.
like you said, with the striking and being able to outpace Islam, I guess, and
Mhm.
stopping the takedowns, but also being able to counter and get a lot of punches in while he's stopping the takedowns.
Mhm.
And if he can keep the fight on if he can keep the fight on the feet, Alexander can definitely win this fight,
Yeah.
like guarantee. I know Islam's been saying about the whole knockout thing, and saying like he's gonna try to knock him out. Like
Yeah.
I am, it's not. I don't think that's gonna happen.
I
If the
I
fight
I
stays
agree. I agree.
if the fight stays on the feet, Alexander has every opportunity and has a lot more probability of winning the fight.
I would agree with that, bro. Then I guess the question is, let's go to official predictions, then, bro. I mean, how would you predict it, man? Because it's hard, but
I mean, I'm just gonna have to like. I want to say one thing. When I make these predictions, I base it off of if I'm putting my hard-earned money on it.
yeah,
If I'm putting my hard-earned money on it, I have to go Islam
yeah,
because
yeah,
look, man, it's just Islam. He always has just enough striking to be able to cause a problem, and then out of nowhere go into a takedown, right?
right,
That's what he does in a lot of his fights. It's like, he doesn't like it's not like he just immediately goes takedown. It's like
right,
he sets it up perfectly to where
right.
he throws enough strikes and then just out of nowhere, bah,
Yeah,
takes you down.
yeah,
So, and is like I said, that's why I'm saying everyone says Islam's just a one dimensional fighter of taking down, but he has enough
no,
striking to be able to, and be able to use his takedowns effectively
yeah,
and the proper way.
yeah,
Not to where it's like a out of nowhere just rushing in trying to take
yeah,
someone down. It's like mixing up the strikes, the kicks also,
yes,
and then being able to take someone
right,
down. So I just think another thing is also Islam. He's a really big 155er.
yeah,
He has a hard time making that weight actually.
right, right,
Alexander said that plenty of times throughout the interviews this week. He was like, just make sure you make weight. And he was also mentioning how Islam's going to look really tired during
yeah,
this week for
yep,
the weight cut.
correct,
And, that could be a scenario to also where Islam's going to have a hard time just with the fight because of just having to make weight, right?
yep,
And, you know, that could even play a factor too into the fight. If Islam isn't able to I mean, these fighters are professionals. They are
yeah,
usually have the right people around them to
right,
make weight in the right way. But, you know, this could be a factor. And on the other side of it, you know, after the rehydration,
yeah,
Islam's going to be a big guy.
yeah.
He's not going to be 155 anymore. He's going to be probably like
He's 180, bro.
170,
He's probably
180, 170,
180.
right?
Yeah,
And that could even play in factor of being able to easily take down Alexander, because
right.
Alexander realistically might be, this is already a weight class above for him.
Yeah, he's probably like
So
160, 165.
he might be
If he wants to
160 of the fight,
if he
right?
want to keeps it tight, he probably won't go over 165, 170 because that's just so
Right.
much weight carrying around that he's probably in a fight. I just feel like those later rounds would be detrimental for him just because of his frame. Not to say he
Right.
couldn't, but it's just like
Yeah.
why if you're getting this is probably like round 3 or 4, probably 100th takedown Islam's done on you. Like
Right.
you think that extra couple pounds is gonna help? Probably not.
No, it's not. It's going to weigh you down, if anything, and make you tired more. But exactly. So, he's going to be even bigger as it is. And this is a normal fight for Islam because
Right.
he's been fighting at this weight for his whole life, right?
Yeah.
For Alexander, this is a new weight class for him. He hasn't fought at 155 before. So those are even factors that could even play with, of Islam being able to take him down so easily because he's already so much, heavier, you know, I don't know. But predictions. I think Islam's gonna win, and I think it's gonna be submission.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm gonna make a round prediction, man, this is where I don't know. I don't know what round it's gonna be, because you know what? If I'm picking number 1 through 5, you know what? I'm gonna say round 2. I'm gonna say round 2 submission.
Okay.
Only because I'm basing off of what Islam has been saying. He's been saying he's gonna try to get the knockout.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna say round 1, he might only go for a submission later in the round 1.
Yeah.
And he might be able to keep him on the ground, but not be able to submit him. But then round 2, after he knows he's not going to be able to, knock him out, he's just going to go for some takedown and be able to submit him.
I could see that, bro.
Yeah, and the reason I say that is because, like we've already mentioned, if Islam gets you on the ground, you're going to have to climb a real big mountain to try to get back.
Oh, yeah, bro.
So
I'd rather climb Everest than try to get top position on Islam, bro.
Yeah,
I think it's impossible. It's not possible.
Yeah, literally. I really don't think it's possible. And I just think it's going to be if Islam's able to take Alexander down easily, it's going to be a long night for him. And prediction, I'm going to say round 2 submission from Islam.
I would have to agree with you. I was actually thinking it's going to be a round 2 submission because I don't think Islam's going to waste time. I would totally agree with your position. But if just to play devil's advocate, if Alex could win, I don't see him pulling a Jorge Masvidal flying knee. I don't know if that could be even possible. Given
that'd be very smart.
If he can time it, get that perfectly. I mean, just like we saw in the prelim, how Terrence McKinney got knocked out. Like if he's able to rock him, but when Islam gets rocked, he's by default going to go to grapple. So it could be possible. Not to say it isn't. And if Islam were to win, if Volkanovski were to win, it'd have to be a decision or some crazy, Hail Mary. He gets Nine Tails Chakra at the end of the 4th round and gets, decks him like that. Like that's the only way I can see him doing.
That's a possibility too, because we've been seeing that we've seen that last year. So
if
the year keeps going, if the fights have been going the same way it has last year at the end of last year, hey man.
I mean, dude, you can think about it. Jamal Hill during the last main numbered card was not supposed to be able to survive all his ground attempts. We're not comparing apples to apples, but at the same time, like at some point, this Dagestani wrestling style, if there's anyone that can figure it out, it's these new gen fighters and someone like Volkanovski who has a camp and team dedicated for that. I think he has got the conditioning to handle it, but is it likely he's going to win? I can't say for sure, Jason. I would have to agree. Volkanovski is going to have to get, some crazy, Hail Mary at the end of the later rounds, or is so good during the whole fight that Islam can't take him down. Or if he does take him down, it doesn't matter because of how much output that Volkanovski has been putting on Islam during the potential fight. So I would have to agree that even though Alexander Volkanovski has technically more ways to win, what Islam's ways to win are so concrete and fundamental and easy for him to get that it doesn't even matter what else Volkanovski has to win. So I'd have to agree, Jason. I think probably a round 2 submission for Islam. But if Volkanovski wins, it's going to be either some crazy Hail Mary in the later rounds or a decision. So, but again, Alexander Volkanovski has been able to get those decisions, but it's not one of those like, how like Emmet got his decision against Cater. People were kind of like it could be either or, right? It's not like when Alexander Volkanovski gets a decision nowadays, it's not going to be like the 1 or 2 Holloway fights. It's going to be like 3. It's going to be like the Ortega fight. It's going to be like the the zombie fight. He's done the improvements now to where like there's a version of Alexander Volkanovski that can beat Islam. It's this one, and if it doesn't, then no one can. I'll just say that right now.
Yeah, I mean honestly, dude, if it's a decision, that means Volkanovski has shown that he can, not shown, but he was able to keep it on the feet.
Yeah.
And he was able to significantly outstrike Islam.
Yeah, because no one else in the divisions can. Because anyone that even attempts that gets caught in and it is gone. So Volkanovski, if anyone has the blueprints, probably Volkanovski. And if he does win because of that, then boom, you have the method to how to defeat these wrestlers. It's about point fighting, point striking, maybe making a boring fight, which I predict that if Volkanovski, again, it's boring by the sense of like, it's point fighting, but when
boring, like not like crazy,
right? But when Volkanovski does his point fighting, he's building up over time. He looks crisp when he does it, and hopefully he gets a speed boost for this fight, and if he does because of that, then Islam might have a much tougher time than anticipated. And again, I think that even though we predict it's going to be easy for Islam, I still think this fight has potential to be like some craziness that happens, bro. Like you could see Volkanovski become like John Wick and just starting piercing him up, being the most perfect fighter. Like Volkanovski get Ultra Instinct and just be out of the way. You know, he could like get his Sharingan unlocked and just be like, I see it's a wrestling attempt. Oh, I bet out of the way, bro. Out of the way. You thought you caught me? It's Genjutsu, bitch. Like I that's what I'm saying. Like the Volkanovski has to show up for that fight on Saturday. It has to be the greatest version that it will ever exist. And if he does show up, then that guy probably might have the tools to beat Islam. But if not, this is Islam's cake. This is Islam's belt. And it's just going to be another poor soul that attempts to jump up a weight class and maybe fail. Maybe. I mean, the only one's done it so far was Conor, so that's and anyone successfully. So Hudo, I think so. Nunes, even though featherweight doesn't really count as a division, let's be honest. And Daniel Cormier. But besides that, like, anyone that has that has the greatness to do it, it's Volkanovski. Like. And if there were a fight to get it, this would be a great fight to fucking get that double champ status, because it wasn't like where it was like, let's be honest, when Conor McGregor went up to lightweight, he was way bigger than Eddie Alvarez was when he took that belt from him, right? He was huge, bro.
Yeah.
Like he looked way bigger than Alvarez did. So like, Cormier again, that's a crazy one too, where he goes up to beat Stipe for that too. That's crazy. I don't know. I think get the belt back from Stipe. Like. Bro, like that. But if because this is a true one. Because I thought, even though when we saw Izzy fight Don Blachowicz for getting the double champ status, we thought Izzy had more of a chance than, when Blachowicz showed that he's like, yeah, hey, you can have all the striking, but if I can take you down, it doesn't matter.
Right.
This win over Islam would be probably the most impressive win, I think, probably anyone could say in the UFC. Because
I think for any double champ fight that we've seen or anything like that, I think this would be the most dominant. Like, this would be the craziest one.
Yeah, because this is the hardest double champ status to get. Not just considering the weight classes, right? Because Volkanovski probably one of the few people, I think, repeat the Conor success and be like, oh, I went up. Boom. And it's a much harder opponent. You compare Conor McGregor getting a one-up on Eddie Alvarez versus compared to Islam fucking Makhachev, the heir apparent to Khabib's throne, the new certified potential GOAT. Like, bro.
And it's not even just that. Like, even for that time, it wasn't like because of like McGregor was very dominant, but he didn't like have any title defenses. It was just like he literally just got the featherweight belt, and he was like, I want to go up and fight for the next belt.
Right.
So this is like where Volkanovski has been dominating. We've seen how good he is.
Yes.
And then we're gonna see a super fight where he's going up, like I said before, climbing one of the biggest mountains ever.
Yeah.
To get the lightweight belt.
Yeah.
Maybe get the lightweight belt.
Yeah.
I should say.
I mean, hey, bro, like, you're right, bro. This is going to be fucking crazy, bro. And if Volkanovski does it, I'll be happy to say, like, bro, I was wrong. I'm happy to say that because it'd be so exciting to see another shakeup at lightweight again. That'd be crazy because everyone's pitching Islam as a supposedly stable force at lightweight now, and they're kind of overlooking, Volkanovski because of that. But if Volkanovski gets his dub, bro, this is another crazy shakeup at lightweight.
Yeah, and I do want to say something. I will, if Volkanovski wins this fight, there shouldn't be any single excuse for Islam not winning, because I think I've been listening to a lot what Volkanovski has been saying this week, and he said, for all those people that have been doubting me, I want you guys to keep that same energy when I win. So
I'll switch up. I'll tell you, bro. I'll switch up right now. I'll be like, oh, I believed in you, Volkanovski. Don't look at our first MMA podcast. Fuck.
No, but if Volkanovski wins this fight, I will not say there won't be any excuses.
Bro, he'll have to be the favorite in every fight moving forward. Yeah. It'd have to be against Francis Ngannou. He'd have to be the favorite moving forward as well.
I know. And I don't want to hear, like I said, when I make my prediction, I base it off of if I'm putting money on it. But if Volkanovski wins this fight, I will not say anything about, Khabib wasn't in his corner.
Right.
Islam's weight issue, that. None of this can be a factor.
Right.
He's like I said, he's climbing a mountain to go fight this fight.
Precisely.
And if he wins this, he deserves all the credit He deserves every single, everything he deserves.
Yeah.
Whatever he gets after this, he deserves it.
Yeah,
So
he better get a fat bonus, and then whoever's waiting for him at featherweight better be like, you know what? Maybe I'll wait. Maybe I'll challenge somewhere
yeah,
for interim status because this Volkanovski guy's fucking crazy, bro.
yeah. Yair, if whoever wins, if Yair or Josh Emmett wins, he might have to like take a break. And, like, you know what? Maybe might have to wait a little bit because if he just beat the one of the second pound for pound best fighter,
Yeah,
like I might have to take a break.
might have to take a break,
I
bro.
have to resharpen my skills and come
Oh,
back.
the pound for pound motherfucker trying to get unify the belt? Maybe not. Maybe I might want to be like, you know what? I'll vacate, keep that belt, boy.
Yeah, exactly, bro.
Oh man,
Crazy,
Yair won't. Yair will be crazy enough to be like, I can do it, bro. I can still
Yeah,
fucking kill you.
Yair, yeah. Like I said, if Josh Emmett wins, that's where he might have to be like, yeah. But Yair's be like, give me it. I want the belt. I want the belt.
It's like you already got your lightweight belt. Let me take your featherweight for you, my guy.
Yes, sir. Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
So
man.
I don't know, man.
This
It's
is crazy.
interesting, but I'm looking forward to this. I'm so excited for this fight, and I'm glad the UFC is doing these kind of fights too. Cause
Yeah, dude, this is.
it's been a minute since we've seen something like where someone's been going up. I mean, like you said, the last one we saw was Izzy versus Jan, but that was like a 20-pound difference.
Yeah.
This was like more of a realistic,
Yeah.
to see really like if Alexander can keep up with Islam and
Right.
crazy fight.
I mean, the only greatness being challenged next is when John Jones comes up to fight Cyril Gane. So
That's true. That is true.
Yeah,
We'll
and by
have to
then
talk about
there's another conversation where it's like, okay, well, what happens when if John wins heavyweight? Does that mean he's back to number one? Because he had that shit before. So
That is true. That is true. I think that's another conversation for another day.
that will be another
it's very
podcast.
interesting.
But that again, because of this epicness of 284 that could potentially unfold, this affects so many different aspects of legacy in the game. But Jason, I couldn't have picked a better first podcast for Never Bored with MMA to start with you, man. So thank you for being such a great co-host, and dude, this I can't wait for to give the audience our epic reaction, our post-fight breakdown for this fight. But guys, you got our thoughts on the Ultimate Fighter, McGregor versus Chandler. Going to be a crazy season for that. You got our prediction and our breakdown for the interim belt that's coming for UFC 284, Yair Rodriguez versus Josh Emmett for the interim featherweight belt, and then finally the pound for pound status and lightweight belt on the line for Islam Makhachev versus, oh my God, the great Alexander Volkanovski. Guys, you couldn't have picked some crazy fights to start this podcast off with. And guys, I can't wait for you to see our breakdown with Never Bored with MMA episodes come out. But guys, stay tuned for that on Saturday. Stay tuned for more Never Bored Naruto content because that's always exciting, as well as more Never Bored MMA and culture goodies, as well as more episodes of Never Bored with MMA podcast that's going to be coming out. Guys, thank you guys for participating in this podcast. Guys, comment below. What are your thoughts on the Ultimate Fighter this season is going to be? Are you guys going to be tuning in? You guys will be tuning in. But how much will you be tuning in is the question. How much you tuning in? What you mean, bro? Also, what are your thoughts on Emmet versus Rodriguez? Give us your thoughts on that fight below as well. Who do you think is going to take the belt? Also, for the interim status, but also who is going to be the pound for pound go by the end of this fight for the main event, for the lightweight title, and for pound status versus Islam versus Volkanovski. Guys, let us know your thoughts down below. I'm your host, George, with my epic co-host here,
Jason.
Y'all have a good one. Peace.